Hello everyone and welcome to an overview for installing the Jira Server plugin. I'm going to walk through from download to configuration and getting running with the Jira Server plugin. Feel free to hang around, this will be a few minutes to get up and running and get you ready for using Device42's discovery to populate data into your Jira Server environment. So one thing to be sure of course, when you're grabbing the plugin, you can find it on our website, but you can also get it directly from the Atlassian Marketplace. There are a few different Device42 plugins available on their marketplace, so be conscious of the one you are selecting. Make sure it is the Device42 CMDB with REST APIs for Jira. This is the plugin intended for Jira Server. You'll also find those for Jira Cloud, Jira Service Desk, and we're also publishing Jira Data Center very shortly in the next few days. So I went ahead and selected get it now. That is going to download a jar file to your browser, which you can then upload from the Jira administrator within Jira Server. And I'm going to navigate to that. All right, so back in Jira, of course, navigate to your Jira administrator portal. You would need to make sure you do have sufficient rights to access the area, and we're going to particularly select the settings and the add-ons, and this may, of course, vary based upon your Jira Server version, but we can find that available here in this particular case. I'm going to look at managing apps and then upload our application. And I can upload that directly from my computer or pull in a URL from Device40. All right, so I've navigated into that jira.jar file. I'm going to go ahead and upload that, and that should only take a moment to complete. All right, so the latest file of the plugin has now been uploaded and completed installation. So at that point, we're now ready to go ahead in configuration. So right from that menu, we can select the configure here. And this is going to bring us to the connection settings of Device42, where we can start to control a few different things. So from here, go ahead and select the pencil to edit that. Now I'm going to have to modify the URL and credentials for this particular integration. Now I actually have a stored instance here from a previous connection. So if you are reinstalling this, you may see some of the similar detail. Okay, so I just went ahead and plugged in my IP address. You of course can throw in the FKDN of your Device42 VM as long as your Jira server is going to be reachable to that URL or that host name. That is the only requirement there, and it should be formatted the same. Then of course the username, this will be an administrator user that is able to log into Device42. I do recommend including a super user account for this connection. You can set up a non-staff user in Device42, and that would allow it to get visibility into all data and only be used for querying our API if you want to have a relatively limited user that can access all information but not access the GUI. Some other important items here. We can control the limit of configuration items that Jira is going to thread and sync at any one time. So we limit that to, in our case, we have a 400, default is going to be 1000, and that just helps with processing, but all your CI information will get there. So you can typically leave those as default and adjust if there are any performance needs. We'll go ahead and save that. Now, after that has been saved, it's going to bring us back to those connection settings again, where I can do a few things from here. So I can do an update data. If this is going to be running for the first time, I may also want to set up a cron job. So I can plug in any cron schedule, format it in your standard cron format on how often you want that to run, whether that's hourly, daily, weekly, however you want to see changes from Device42 inside of Jira. Then I'll select update data. I do recommend on initial installation running a full rescan if you had it previously, and then agreeing and running that synchronization from that point. And that's going to pull, by default, all the config information that is stored in Device42. We map everything over to your Jira instance. You may be able to modify that further. Some key components here are our filter templates, and this is going to give you ways to modify for the various configuration items different details we want to include. So if we only want to include devices of a certain location, I could type in that location value here, and that's going to be part of the search criteria when it's syncing that data, and only included details that match that location or those search criteria. So if we just want our service desk devices to be sent over to Jira Server, we can include that as a location, as a tag, any of those values that are stored in Device42. Furthermore, in Device42 configuration, you can modify how that data is presented within Jira. So I can select devices or any of the other configuration items, and you'll notice a few things here. You'll have a lot of granular functionality to actually control the data that is synced over. The section that is important is DOCL. So this looks at our object query language. So if you're familiar with our data dictionary, you can pick and choose the tables and values that you want to sync to Jira, as well as the weight that those values are presented in. And these are going to map to the custom fields where you're going to be selecting those CIs. So after I've configured that to my liking, and feel free to contact Device42 if you're looking for additional information on how you can manipulate DOCL and some resources there. So that has quite a lot involved to that as well, and going to go into further report functionality in Device42 and some other features. The next important step for using the integration is navigating to your issues from the administrator portal, and I want to select our custom fields. So you'll notice a few things here is I'll have to add a custom field to our issue screens to start using this data. And you'll find that available in the advanced section and Device42 custom fields. So I can create any number of custom fields to reference CI information that I care about. So I'll call this device data. Synced info from Device42, and we'll create that new field. Then from here, of course, I can select the screens that I want to include this data in, and we'll just say, we'll pick and choose all of the particular Jira screens that we care about and update that. Now that I have that field available, it's going to include the synced information based upon the filters and configurations I included in the Device42 plugin configuration step. So now if I navigate to a ticket, all right, so I'm going ahead and creating a new incident in our Jira screen. So let's say we're going to update our ESX server here. And just making something up. And we're going to throw that in. Now I've got all the fields that are selected with that screen in my Jira issue view. And then as well, our Device42 custom fields. So I've had some others from the past here that include the CI information that we care about. I've got my new device data here, and I'll select our device details and any other values I want. And then I can search for and sync all the data that is pulled in from Device42. So I'll go ahead and select the ESX host that I'm going to be updating, ESXi005 there, and I'll create that incident. Now if I navigate to that ticket, I now have within that view and that ticket all the configuration information that's synced over for that particular device record. And some columns where they were null values are excluded here. So there might be additional columns that are available and were discovered by Device42 that either were modified to be shown here. So if you have custom fields on the device record, you can include those in those queries again by modifying that plugin. But that is the Jira Server plugin from installation to quick overview of what that'll allow you to do, but it'll give you a lot of granularity on enabling any Jira custom field to include Device42 data through any issue screens for the relevant parties that are using Jira. Thanks, everybody.